Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's a beautiful 26th of January, 2025. Come up this episode of the Crusty podcast, episode 332, The Strategy. Yes, what's Poilievre's plans? Hopefully he may get elected. Who knows? But what's his plans for Canada? Interesting times we live in, ladies and gentlemen. All that and more come up the podcast. Please stick around. Listener and viewer discretion is advised because I will swear, smoke cigarettes, and make fun of certain people and, of course, our leaders. See you in a bit.
Hit it, sweetheart. Because I am hard, you will not like me.
Yes, sir.
There is no racial bigotry here. Here you are all equally worthless.
From Western Canada, this is the Crusty Canuck podcast, a Canadian veteran's point of view on political, social, economic issues, and life. Here's Crusty.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to episode 332 of the Crusty podcast. I'm your host, Crusty Canuck. Hope all is well. Hope you're having a decent weekend so far. This podcast is also brought to you in part by and supported by, that's right, Veterans for Freedom Network, Veterans Freedom TV, coming up soon too. And Stand for Freedom, Veterans for Freedom. The links will be in my description there, ladies and gentlemen. And give us a chance here. It's been pretty tough for some veterans over the past couple of years. There's some things going on with Veterans Affairs I might save with another episode. But just a reminder too, if you like and hear what you see, click like, subscribe, share this content all over your social media platforms. Do not be shy, ladies and gentlemen. Do not be shy whatsoever. Give me a thumbs up, give me a comment, and give me a like, all that kind of stuff too. And thank you once again to my friend Paul in Ontario, Radio Reaction, for making the beautiful title cards for me. Thank you very much, Paul. You're awesome. You're a good man. Don't ever doubt that. Hope you get well soon. So this episode, basically, what's Poilievre's plans when it comes to these tariffs and issues that are going on right now? Now, I got a few video clips here and there. I actually watched an interview he had with CTV Atlantic, where he was talking about what's going to happen. Now, I'll play some clips there, ladies and gentlemen, in regards to his efforts, what his plan is, what his outlook is, because we've heard the Liberals ramble on about how Pierre doesn't have a plan. Oh, what is he trying to do? Oh, my God. He has no plan what's going on with the economy in this country. And yet they're scrambling and trying to cater and pander to the masses when they've had the better part of 9 years doing it. Okay. Now, my best guess is what Trump is doing. He's trying to get shit done. Whether you love the man or hate the man, he's trying to get shit done. And he's doing what's in interest of the United States and the people. Okay. Big business, big money, big machines, just big everything. Okay. And we have to realize, ladies and gentlemen, okay, Canada will never, ever live up to that standard unless we get 300 million people living in here, unless we have the same industry, the same capacity as the Americans. Okay. And that's obvious. Now, is it right what Donald Trump was doing? Is it wrong? Well, 25% tariffs are going to hurt the American consumer too, not just the Canadian. And 25% tariffs are going to hurt the Mexican consumer as well too. So who knows what's going to happen? Now, I know through wheelings and dealings that our Premier, Danielle Smith, is actually trying to make some deals with the president as we speak. She was down there during the inauguration, networked and talked. So who knows? Okay. But my concern, and as well as you, my wonderful audience out there, we should be focused on Canada, at least my Canadian audience. Okay. We should be focused on what's going on right here in this beautiful country of ours. Okay. Now, I've actually had talks back and forth with some people that I work with, people online, who wants to be American, who wants to be Canadian, who wants to this. What I want as a Canadian is basic freedom and the ability for everyone to thrive by their own means, by their own sufficiency without government oversight. Because the past 9 years, we have seen that with our money, with our words, and how we talk to people, and how we get along with people, and what we're allowed to protest, what we're not allowed to protest. So there's many examples out there since September of 2015 on what Canadians were allowed to do in the name of our government. Now, our leadership now is scrambling to find a leader of the Liberal Party, and they can't decide here or there. All these so-called experts are weighing in, trying to tell us what to say and what to do again. all in light of, what's best for us. Now, my friends at Northern Perspective made a great video with an ex-Liberal MP, and he has a real short there that I might play later on in the episode. They put together a little short I might play for you, and how he discusses the whole Mark Carney thing, right? But we're not talking about Mark Carney right now. We're talking about Pierre Poilievre and his plan. So what I'm going to do, ladies and gentlemen, before I cue the video up, I've had a few comments from some listeners and some watchers there too. And bear with me, okay? I don't care what your educational background is. I don't care where you went to school or what you studied in school. I don't care if you have a degree in this or a degree in that. I don't get impressed by people with degrees unless they have an engineering degree or something scientific or something medicinal. Okay. I don't care if you have a philosophy degree or an English degree or a musical degree or a degree in whatever made up fucking course that has been presented to the masses for the past 20 years. Okay. I have 20 years that I invested in the military, and you learn some hard lessons pretty fucking quick, especially when it comes to people, when it comes to trade and commerce, when it comes to teamwork, and when it comes to fucking leadership. So if anybody out there in La La Land who disagrees with what I say, you're more than welcome to engage me and have a conversation with me about anything. But quit looking for shit. Quit looking for shit to throw, because I'll throw it right back at you. It's that simple. When I was an instructor, I managed to make one of my troops bawl his fucking eyes out. Okay? And I'm just a little guy. All right? This recruit was maybe about 6 inches taller than I was. Right? And I made him bawl his eyes out. I didn't have to lay a hand on him. So if I can do that to a 22-year-old man, what do you think I could do to you, eh? Think about that. No, I'm just fucking with you. Anyway, you want to engage me in conversation. I really don't care. I don't care what your qualifications are. Okay? Because there, many of a leader has come and gone in this country with a background in this and a background in that. And 9 times out of 10, they've put us into debt. So if you think that takes some kind of skill or talent, guess again. Like I say, I don't care what your background is in education. I really don't care. And the reason I never went to university is because, one, I couldn't afford it. And secondly, just wasn't my thing, And there's a lot of people out there who never went to college, university, and they're doing very, very fucking well. So if you're one of those so-called intellects and you want to look down on people because they didn't go to prestigious school, don't be crying to us or crying to anybody if someone verbally or physically kicks your ass. Right back after this.
Stay updated and follow Crusty Canuck on Facebook, Twitter, Gab, Telegram, YouTube, and Podbean. Subscribe today and donate at crustycanuck.ca.
And you're back, ladies and gentlemen, episode 332 of the Crusty Canuck podcast. Poilievre's plan. So what is his plan? What is his plan? So I'm going to cue up the video here from the interview he did with CTV Atlantic there a couple days back. And he basically just sums up the 3 ways he's going to put Canada first. Now, to my Canadians out there that want to believe in this country, yet don't like hearing any patriotic terms, I highly suggest you get the Q-tips out and clean the wax out of your ears. Because I have personally had to deal with Canadians that didn't like this country back in 2022 when the trucker convoy was going. But now all of a sudden they just love it dearly because they think our sovereignty is at threat. But I will present this video to you in a timely manner. And you, my wonderful audience, you decide what Mr. Poilievre is going to say, or what he's going to do, and what his plan will be once he is elected. Right? I'll keep the captions up too, so you can all listen and read at your leisure. And we'll just go from there, ladies and gentlemen. Well,
are a week away now from American tariffs with almost all certainty. There's a real concern, I'm sure you've heard it in this region, about the potential impacts. Wondering if you can tell our viewers one specific thing, if you were in power, that you would do to respond to those.
Well, I don't want to, if you don't mind, I'd like to list a few things. One would obviously...
The more you want to list, the better. I
Thank
think
you.
people would like to get some specifics about how we're going to
Look,
tackle this.
President Trump is a deal maker. He wants to win. But we're both going to lose as Americans and Canadians if we get into a trade war. So what I would say is, how do we position the decision for him so that he understands that America can only win if it allows open, unbridled free trade with Canada. So I would retaliate, and I would target products and services that A, we don't need, B, we can make ourselves, and C, that we can buy elsewhere so that we maximize impact on the Americans while minimizing impact on Canadians. Secondly, I would to pass an emergency, bring it home tax cut on work, investment, making stuff in Canada, energy, home building, so that we can stimulate more economic growth here. Three, we need to become more self-sufficient. That means knocking down barriers, more interprovincial free trade. We have freer trade with the Americans today than we do with ourselves. We have to knock down those barriers, build pipelines, LNG liquefaction facilities to sell our stuff to the world without having to go through the Americans. If they're going to be an unreliable trade partner, we've got to find ways to sell more to ourselves and more to the rest of the world.
Do you see it as a dollar for dollar retaliation?
I would say so, yeah. It has to hit hard. And again, we have to be very pinpoint and surgical to make sure we're maximizing impact on the American side while minimizing impact on our side.
Yeah, there you go. A bit of an advert he put together for his page there, ladies and gentlemen. So, when you're talking about dollar for dollar, okay, a little more self-sufficiency would be in order too. Okay, we have the means to do it. We still got a big manufacturing hub in Ontario and in Quebec, and there's no reason why manufacturing can't come out west either. Okay, so the thing is, there's so many rules and regulations and so much red tape that tarnishes this garbage. That's why it's so hard. Now when it comes to who I'm going to vote for, that's irrelevant. I do think he's got the potential to get something done, right? But I don't know if his strategy is. I don't know if his strategy is right there just yet. Okay. There's an article here from the CBC, ironically enough, where they talk about the equalization formula. Now, Quebec gets quite a bit of money every year when it comes to equalization payments from the oil that is sold and made in Alberta and Saskatchewan. Okay. Now, between now and next fiscal year, 2026, La Belle Province receives $13.6 billion. Manitoba roughly gets $4.4 billion. Ontario gets, I think, $560 million. And the rest is divvied up through the Atlantic provinces. Now, I don't mind the equalization model when it actually means what it says, when it means equal, right? Now, what we need is bigger markets, world markets. I agree with Poilievre on that. We need world markets. Okay. Germany, Japan, Greece, and I believe Latvia and Estonia have asked Canada for LNG. Now, of course, Mr. Sock Puppet, Mr. Sock Boy Potato, Justin Trudeau, okay, said that it didn't make a big business model. It wasn't a good business model. Interesting, eh? So he's disenfranchising countries that need our products, but he doesn't want to sell it to them. So he obviously doesn't understand business, how it works, right? We have something the world wants. Why don't we sell it? Right? Why is the United States our only customer? Why? Because it was made that way many years ago. And it's been back and forth, I think, since the better part of 1980. Okay. So it's time to change the model, time to change the strategy. Okay. Now, I think Pierre might do it. I'm not exactly sure how or when, but I think he might do it. Okay. And I'm going to play another video of him on his little strategy, how he would deal with the president to avoid said tariffs. But, take it as you will, ladies and gentlemen. But I'm just presenting this to you to get the creative juices flowing, to get people thinking again. It's only been a minute long, so please bear with me. I'll keep the captions open again, too, because, if you can't hear it, then you can read along with it.
Fortunately, and reluctantly have to retaliate against tariffs applied to our businesses. And then we would go to the grassroots American economic interests that are on our side. The union leaders and business owners in the Midwest that use Canadian energy. We would go to the US states that buy our electricity, the major exporters of the $50 billion of manufacturing equipment and machinery that Canadian companies buy from Americans. We go to those vendors and say, listen, we need a free trade deal that allows us to exchange our goods and services without tariffs because it's in your interest. And that kind of pressure from the ground up will, I think, help convince President Trump to make a deal that will be both good for Canada and the United States. He is, after all, a deal maker.
Yeah, he is a deal maker, that's for sure. He is big business. That's Donald Trump, big business. Like I've said in numerous episodes before, the art of the deal, right? Okay. So the thing is about getting along here. Now, my American friends and my British friends and everybody who lives in the free democracies as we see it, ironically enough, okay, it's turning into a real cavalcade of bullshit. Okay. Bullshit where the media is grabbing a hold of a story. Independent media is grabbing hold of a story. And yet we, the plebes, we, the young'uns, we, the taxpayers, are left in the dark. So we have to keep our wits about ourselves. Okay. Try to be level-headed, try to be sane, try to be good. Okay. Right now, there may be some people cringing right now who have weighed in on my show and say, well, Crusty, you say you got to be good, but you insult me every time I come on. Well, I only insult people when they comment on my show, when they got nothing to back up their claim. Okay. If you have a point to make to me about anything, bring it to the table and make sure it's valid and not just hearsay or skepticism, whatever. You want to be skeptical, fine, but don't just project it and just assume, okay? And I've had some comments from people saying, oh, you Albertans think this way and you Albertans talk that way. And I'm thinking, do you think you're higher on the horse than everybody else in this country? Right? I've had a few debates with some separatists out of La Belle Provence, and their biggest concern was the French language. I don't know anybody who wants to steal the French language, but they didn't have a pot to piss in. They didn't have anything to back up their claims other than it was trendy to look after themselves rather than the rest of the country. You know what I mean? When you look at the way our confederation is set up, Confederation of Canada, okay, there's a lot of rules that are being made and enforced by Ontario and Quebec. It's time that Alberta and other provinces get their say in it too. Okay. With all those reforms we're talking about and the trade tariffs, we're also losing focus on what has to be done here. I personally believe that the Senate should be elected. Okay. I believe that 3 people from each province, 3 or 4, well, I'll go as high as 4 people from each province and territory sit in the Canadian Senate. I also believe in abolishing the Governor General. If we're going to keep the Governor General's position, then he or she must be elected. Not appointed, but elected. Okay? That can be done in a parliamentary system, regardless of how many books people got to read to look after or whatever, or what red tape has to be cut. We have to elect these officials. Okay? And therefore, if the Governor General sees that the Prime Minister is not living up to his or her potential or doing what they should be doing, what they should both be doing, okay, then I would say the Governor General has the power to sit there and say, all right, call an election. That's it. People have lost confidence in you. People have lost a lot of faith in you, and not just you, but your party and certain cabinet members, right? And we're seeing that as we speak. Every little liberal ad you see on the net or on the tube about how Poilievre is doing this and how Jagmeet Singh is doing that. And yet Mr. Singh has been in cahoots with the Liberal Party ever since 2021. So the answers are there, and it's obvious, ladies and gentlemen. This next election that should be coming up, hopefully, we figure by March, because, the Liberals just got to have their leader to have their say, right? And I just look at it as a stalling tactic, nothing else, nothing more, But it's also wasting a lot of people's time, too, and wasting a lot of money that this country needs to begin to thrive again, to be back on a paying level, right, to help people get ahead. That's the thing. But our government doesn't want to do that. So, well, we'll have to wait and see. But in the meantime, we just got to keep level-headed, folks.
Stay updated and follow Crusty Canuck on Facebook, Twitter, Gab, Telegram, YouTube, and Podbean. Subscribe today and donate at crustycanuck.ca.
And you're back, ladies and gentlemen, the podcast, episode 332, Poilievre's plan. So that's the thing. I'll include an article there in the description for you to read along and follow at your leisure. But with all this back and forth, mudslinging, verbal mudslinging, we're constantly seeing Mr. Carney being propped up. We're seeing other candidates being propped up and put down and taken out. So I made a comment there on Moose and Loose's page there too. They were talking about one candidate that was not allowed to run, apparently. And it just reminds me of high school tactics, like a prom committee thing. Who's good enough to be here? Who's good enough to be there? And it really gives a shit, right? Because I can honestly say that a lot of Canucks out there are getting really, really tired of the drama that the Liberal brand has caused. I'm getting tired of the monsters they've created. They've created so many fucking monsters. It's unbelievable. Okay. And you just got to shake your head with all the rules and regulations they have put together. I've mentioned before Bill C-69, which is basically the anti-pipeline bill, the no more pipelines kind of thing. There's another bill called Bill C-48, not the bail reform bill. It's the anti-tanker bill, right? I think they brought this in 2018, if I'm not mistaken. And they basically shoved themselves in. They buried themselves. And they're taking us down with them, right? And what annoys me the most, especially the past couple of months, you're seeing all these people celebrate Canada, and Canada's not for sale, and Canada's not this, Canada's not for that. So where was the love and dedication in 2015? Where was the love and dedication when Canadians realized that this federal government is not funding our troops properly? Where was the love and dedication and the patriotism when seniors were getting screwed, when the First Nations were getting screwed with the clean water issue, okay? And when vets like myself and other friends of mine were getting screwed? Where were you? Right? No, let's rally against the convoy because they're upsetting people's freedoms in Ottawa and Windsor. And yet they fail to realize that this federal government compromised the freedoms of everybody in Canada, okay? And they also failed to realize, too, okay, that the lockdowns were insufficient. The masking was insufficient. The jibby jabs was insufficient. And there's still people getting injured, people realizing that they have some kind of problems now because of the jabs, right? So where was the patriotism then? Where was the unity and the Team Canada spirit then, right? This was apparently a dirty word. This was apparently a dirty thing to see those terrible years. It just adds more to my other episode about arrogance. This false sense of security. We'll just stay in the bubble and forget that it ever happened. Or we'll just ignore it and go away. Or we'll just give some hugs and say, oh, we're sorry. Well, that's not fucking good enough. And what's going on right now with these leaders and the potential voters and the people that support this kind of government, it's still not good enough. So we're going to have maybe a catastrophe or two or some kind of devastation to smarten people up a bit. We're going to have maybe a few more tariffs being thrown at us. Maybe some hard lessons have to be learned again until people start clicking in and waking up to the fact that life is not a goddamn philosophy encyclopedia. Life is not something you can just square away and categorize at fucking leisure. You have to live it and take responsibility for it. We're not seeing the responsibility of our leaders. We're not seeing the accountability. And it's going to turn around and bite us in the ass. And you're going to have people like my buddy Frank Vaughn, Moose and the Loose, Clyde Do Something, Marty Up North, Northern Perspective, Radio Reaction, other podcasters, and myself, Crusty Canuck, sitting there saying, We fucking told you so. So it's up to you, ladies and gentlemen. It's up to the viewers and the taxpayers. It's up to the believers. And it's up to the patriots that love this nation. And I'm not saying you're going to go sharpen a pointed stick and get your pitchforks and torches out. But these decisions are laying the pathway to those results. Okay? Something to think about, ladies and gentlemen. Anyhow, I have been Crusty Canuck on this beautiful 26th of January, 2025. I wish good things for you all out there. This episode's songs will be Cinderella's Last Mile. I don't know what it is about Cinderella, but they're probably one of the better hair bands out of the 1980s. And I was listening to that track actually on the radio today, coming home from work. So hope you enjoy that too. As far as I know, Tom Kiefer, lead singer, head songwriter, and guitar extraordinaire, still tours with Cinderella, even though Jeff LaBar has passed away. He has another guitarist there with the band, but he still tours, he's still rocking and rolling. So good for Cinderella. So the Cinderella tune, Last Mile, it's got some pretty good harmonies in it, some really good backing vocals. And if you just want to get cheesy and rock out to the 80s, I think it's probably one of the better songs to do it to, too. And another tune will be the Chambers Brothers, The Time Has Come. Not the extended 11-minute psychedelic version, but the airplay version from 1969, I believe. So please, I'll leave that in my description. You wonderful people out there, enjoy it at your leisure. Take it any way you like. And yeah, that's the songs for this episode, ladies and gentlemen. But like I say, I've been Crusty Canuck on the 26th of January, 2025. I wish good things for you all out there. Weather will be getting colder soon, so be on standby, bundle up, stay warm, stay tidy, plug in your vehicles. Don't want a battery to die, and just do what you can to be good to people, ladies and gentlemen. That is all. Right? Just keep our heads above water, keep level, keep focused, and do what is right for this nation, for your neighbors, for your friends, for your loved ones, and for yourself. Take some time out to be good to yourself, too, on occasion, right? Have that beer, have that steak. Watch that terrible movie and have a good laugh. We just got to start being better. And like I always say, ladies and gentlemen, humanity and merit wins the day. And I'll see you next time. Bye for now.
Hit it, sweetheart. Because I am hard, you will not like me. Yes, sir. There is no racial bigotry here. Here you are all equally worthless.
This has been another episode of the Crusty Canuck podcast. Stay sane and thank you for listening. From Western Canada, this is the Crusty Canuck podcast.
Well, smack my ass and call me Judy.